What's up everybody, Ghost Girl 007 here, and today's video is going to be another episode of Haunted Reads. Today's video is episode 6 of Haunted Reads. Right now we are reading some from this haunted magazine. It's called The Haunted History, Real Life Ghost Stories and Supernatural Events. It's also brought to you by, actually I'm not going to do that. The next page we're going to read is Stay With Us, Haunted Hotels. So that's what this page looks like right here. We're going to get into the haunted hotels. Things like that. I'm gonna read a little bit of this or this, and then I'll read this. So let's get into it. The anonymity and the transience of hotels can serve as the perfect cover for twisted minds to out their most hideous and fantasize, and such monstrous acts can leave their marks long after the events themselves are over. As such, haunted hotels dot the American landscape with tales of the spirits of guests, workers, and owners who have never fully checked out. Sometimes guests and employees are thought to linger in hotels even long after they are abandoned. H.H. Holmes, Murder Castle. The first documented serial killer in America's history was born Herman Webster Mudgett in 1861. He had an interest in medicine as a child and is said to have performed surgeries on animals under that pretext. At 18, he went to medical school where he used cadavers to run an insurance scam. Mudgett also married and had a son, but he abandoned his family in order to roam about the country, trying out different frauds and swindles. When he showed up in Chicago around 1885, he was going by the name H.H. Holmes and was a well-practiced con artist. In the Boston City, he was able to run several scams on credit, always paying off only what he had to while shamming money elsewhere. He began working at a drugstore, which he eventually took over after driving out the previous owners. Likely though, some shifty con in 1892, on the corner opposite the store, he began building what would become known as disturbingly as the Murder Castle. He claimed it was a hotel that would serve a lodging for the massive influx of tourists coming for the World's Fair in the next year. And indeed, he did lure lodgers there, many of whom were young women, some of whom were his mistresses, the most of whom never made it out alive. The construction went in fits and started with Holmes hiring and firing workers and contractors seemingly going out on whims. No one worked on the building from start to finish, and so no one knew the horrors of Holmes had planned. According to legend, the ground floor had shops and the third floor had apartments, but the second floor and basement were nothing short of torture chambers, along with nearly 100 rooms. There were walls on hinges that swung open and closed, stairs to nowhere, trap doors, secret passageways with peepholes into rooms, and a chute to the basement. There was an alarm system installed to alert Holmes when people had imprisoned tried to leave. One room that was lined in asbesto and had nothing in it but gas fixtures became known as the asphyxiating chamber. But that wasn't even the worst of it. The true horrors were in the basement. Surgical tools, operating tables, strange devices that looked like torture racks, pits of acid and quicklime, and a surgery room to dispose of bodies. No one knows for sure how many people were killed at the murder castle. Maybe as few as 9 or as many as 200. And the terror and torture they underwent is something best left unimagined. Shortly after the fair ended, Holmes moved on from Chicago before his creditors could catch up with him. He continued his crime spree as he traveled east. He was arrested in November 1894 for insurance fraud involving a corpse, an old trick from his college days. While in custody, he began to tell his convoluted story and was tried and convicted for just one murder, that of a business partner. But rumors around that H.H. Holmes may well have been in Whitechapel, London during the 1888 reign of terror caused by Jack the Ripper, leaving some of to theorize that these monsters were one and the same. The best evidence, handwriting expert who compared Holmes' handwriting to a letter thought to have been penned by the Ripper, have concluded that they were likely written by the same hand. And this is what the castle looks like. Rumor has it that this is a really very haunted location as well. And here's like a teaser picture. And this is a little bit of an article or pictures and that of the possible castle and around the area. Now we're gonna move on. Glass bending and the woman in black. Outside Chicago, Holmes had access to the furnace of a glass bending factory, which was large enough to cement several bodies at once. It is there that Holmes may have disposed of the bodies of his mistress, Minnie Williams, and others. The voices of men conspiring have been heard in a corner of the furnace room. More commonly, through an apparition of a woman in black has been seen staggering around on the property, and many believe it's the spirit of Minnie Williams. Holmes' mistress, Minnie Williams, is believed to haunt the glass-bending factory grounds. So here's another little teasing photo we got there. Ultimately confessed to 27 murders in 1895, the murder castle was burned down, perhaps at Holmes' orders. In 1896, he was executed. There are a few stories more terrifying than of Holmes. He was truly a remorseless monster. Little wonder it's widely believed that his victims linger where the infamous murder castle once stood. Today, a post office stands in its place. footprints, including part of what may have been the original basement. It is there that the spirits of the victims and even that of Holmes himself may remain. Employees often refuse to go down there, as people have seen the concrete walls and halls shifting. They have felt the presence of multiple entities and heard their voices. Some people who haven't had experiences with the spirits of Holmes victims, like custodian Roy Hood, feel that the ghosts make themselves known, as some people will uncover the grisly circumstances of their deaths. Hood believes they want to have their stories told, and I think it's working. Or they think it's working. Opposite illusions from inside Holmes' murder castle that appeared in New York's Journal newspaper in 1896. So that's this page. Was this the newspaper that they put out in 1896? Now we're going to skip to the next one. The Stanley Hotel. In 1909, a grand 142-room colonial revival-style hotel opened in the East Valley of Colorado, with telephones, electricity, and en-suite bathrooms. The Stanley Hotel was posh and cutting edge. It was built, after all, by wealthy inventor and entrepreneur Freeland O. Stanley after he came to the valley on doctor's orders. The pristine environs did wonders for his consumption. He liked it so much he decided he didn't want to leave, and many believe he never did. His ghost has been reported enjoying itself in the lobby as well as the billiard room. His wife Flora can still be heard tickling the ivories of the hotel's piano. One of the original housekeepers hired at the Stanley was in a terrible explosion in the room 217, and though she survived, her spirit is said to roam the rooms, trying to tend to the guests. The Stanley enjoyed an opulent heyday before it began to deteriorate, its luster and exclusivity gone by 1970. That's when author Stephen King had stayed there, that he never forgot. It was the night before the hotel was to close for the winter season, and he and his wife were the only guests. The cavernous, empty corridors struck the writer as the perfect backdrop for a ghost story. That night, King dreamed that his son, just 3 years old at the time, was running terrified through the halls, being chased by a fire hose. He woke up sweating in the time it took him to smoke a cigarette. He had the origin of his book, The Shining, the room number Y217, of course. So this would be the Stanley Hotel. I actually did a ghost story on this recently. So check out my story on the Stanley Hotel if you'd like to see more of that. The fire hose that author Stephen King dreamed chased his son through the Stanley Hotel made menacing appearances in his historic thriller, The Shining. This is what that hose looked like, I guess. Give you a little bit of an idea. And this is the piano that is heard being played. So if you like videos like this one, just like and subscribe and comment in the comments down below. And be sure to let me know what you think about this video, and let me know if you want to see more of this video. Until next time, guys, keep up with the spooks.